Welcome, everybody. This is another edition of Listen to This, Library Stories. My name is Alan Bugg. I'm the branch manager at the Valencia Park Malcolm X Branch Library. Today, we are going to be speaking with Kristina Garcia, one of the great librarians in our humanities section at the Central Library. Today, Kristina and I are going to talk about The Geranium. It's a short story by Flannery O'Conner. You can find it online, and we'll give you that information so that you can read that at any time, anywhere you've got access to the internet. Good morning, Kristina. How are you doing today?
Oh, good morning, Alan. I'm great. Thanks for interviewing me today.
Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm really looking forward to this one. All right, so let's just jump right into it. So this is Flannery O'Connor's The Geranium. What was it that brought you to this particular story? How'd you come about it? Because it's different coming to a short story. Unlike novels where you get all of this big media and it's on the bestsellers list. What brought you to this short story?
Well, I had heard the name Flannery O'Conner here and there for quite some time, and I heard about her superior writing for probably about a decade. I've heard about her, and then one day the time came, it hit me. I said, I'm getting something by Flannery O'Conner, and okay, the complete stories. So I picked it up. I started with the first story, and it affected me so deeply and emotionally that I couldn't go on, and I couldn't even move on to another story. I had to return the book.
Okay.
It was heavy.
And with that being said, it's great that one of the resources that you're going to offer is the online version of that. So you won't have to worry about turning it back in, people.
That's right. Right.
But it's something when a piece of writing moves you that way, and that's one of the things that makes literature art. So I think it's really great that you brought that point out. So since it really affected you in such a manner, what was the issue? What is the thing that got you going with this story?
Well, so it is a short story, so there's a lot packed in there, and there's a lot of layers, but I just couldn't shake these heartrending elements of this main character. He is called Old Dudley in the story, and we inhabit his mind for the story, the duration of the story, and I was struck by the emotion. The thing that really first got me was the emotion that Flannery O'Conner paints in Old Dudley just by the many and varied descriptions of the tightness in his throat, that he is so sad, but he doesn't even realize what this tightness in his throat is, and how he's pining for just his previous life. He just has a lot of sadness, but he's just sort of not very self-aware. And the other thing is, the story was written in 1946. Flannery was 21 when she wrote it, and it ended up being part of her master's thesis. And at that time, the N-word was used in daily vernacular, and it features in this story many times, used by Old Dudley and other people. And I almost didn't recommend it because of that, because it was so jarring in that way.
So what was it that pushed you over the edge and made you say, okay, this is going to be the one that I'm going to recommend this time around?
Well, I just couldn't shake this story out of my head. It kept coming back to me. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized on a deeper reflection that Flannery O'Conner was showing the irony of Old Dudley feeling this racial superiority. She was sending a message that the description of his current life is rife with examples of him being marginalized, isolated. He's even threatened for just existing, sitting, just being in an apartment. So he's really sort of a powerless character, but he thinks he's not. So the only people who really treat him with any humanity, any compassion, are the African-American characters in this story. And in fact, his best friend back home in the South is Black. His name is Raby. And he is thinking of Raby and wishing for those times with Raby, but he's so entrenched with the norms of the social norms of being a Southern white man and what that means and how society should be. And he has an inability to self-reflect on his situation and on himself. It's sad. He is trapped in and is ultimately being caused pain because of his social norms that he is living in. So, it's one of those stories that you need to read and then read again over the years and ponder and think about the layers and the injustices that are being shown there. There are both real ones and unintended ones, but there's a lot there beyond just the vernacular that's used. So what you need to ponder, you really need to do the opposite of Old Dudley and reflect and think, how could this be better? How should this be different? How should things be changed for the better? So that I just couldn't get rid of that thought that this was an important story and it had a lot to say.
Absolutely. And I want to go back to one of the points that you made about him being threatened for his mere existence. And I think it was masterful of Flannery O'Conner to have included that. It seems almost minor, but it's so very real in placing, well, juxtaposing these positions on the people. This is someone's everyday feelings. This is how Black people in the South, and unfortunately we'll even say today, feel all the time. And Flannery allowed, through this powerful writing, other people to experience that as well.
Yes, you hit it on the head, Alan. That's really, I felt like she opened up a doorway to put yourself in a position where you might presume to understand some feelings. You know, that really there was a great injustice being done with someone with this rawness and this emotion being shown, really a callous, you know, no kindness, nothing, just callousness. And it has a lot to say. So
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for this. Do you have any other similar somethings that you would want to recommend?
Well, you know, on the similar writing as Flannery, there would be Eudora Welty, who sets her, another female short story writer of that era, setting her stories in the South and in the early 20th century. There's also other writers that have character-driven stories, such as Carson McCullers, Tennessee Williams, but a fantastic African-American author that I don't think gets enough press and suggested enough is Ralph Ellison. He writes short stories, and he wrote a fantastic novel, Invisible Man. And I remember when I read Invisible Man, I read that about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and it had the same thought-provoking effect on me as the Geranium did. So I would like to see Ralph Ellison read some more and recommended some more. So of course you can get all of these and books. The Geranium is out of copyright. It is online all over the place. As you mentioned, we can just link to it on the internet, the entire complete stories. But you can also get it in book form. If you want to read it in a book, we've got it here at the San Diego Public Library for checkout, and also the other items, authors I mentioned. And if you want read-alikes, you can go to our databases. The Novelist database is a terrific, terrific, fun thing to use to get title read-alikes or author read-alikes and get some new favorites. So excellent. I hope everyone will take advantage of that.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for the great recommendation, Kristina.
Oh, thank you, Ellen. It was a pleasure to talk about this story with you today.
Thank you. This has been Listen to This, Library Stories.